Welcome back to the Arise interview, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the stories. I'm Charles Aniagolu. Now, the actor Chadwick Boseman once said that the movie Black Panther, in which he took the title role to great acclaim, had championed what it means to be young, gifted and black. It's that legacy that's been at the heart of so many of the tributes and memories shared by fans, actors, politicians, and many more since his death was announced. He was only 43. His 4 years of cancer treatment, even while working on his most famous movie, had never been made public. He is, of course, best known for his work on Black Panther, but he also played James Brown in Get On Up, and also the first Major League black baseball player Jackie Robinson in 42. Fellow Marvel stars like Mark Ruffalo and Chris Evans have been sharing their tributes online. Also, Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden and his running mate Kamala Harris as well. Black Panther, of course, had a largely black cast and a black director. It made more than $1 billion worldwide, won several awards, and was celebrated as an important cultural moment, the latest sign of a more diverse Hollywood. For more on the life and work of Chadwick Boseman, I'm joined now via online WebEx from Los Angeles by Lee Bailey, founder of the Electronic Urban Report, which covers African American news in the US. And Lee Bailey, hugely popular broadcaster in America. Thank you very much indeed, and very, very honored to have you on the program. Just tell us what you know from your perspective of Chadwick Boseman, because you were one of the people who has interviewed him in the past. Tell us about his work as an actor and how he was rated as a thespian.
Well, Charles, first of all, thank you for having me on the program, and I truly hope I can do Mr. Boseman, Chadwick Boseman, justice. I interviewed him one time actually when the James Brown movie Get On Up came out. We were in New Orleans at the Essence Festival. I found him to be a very interestingly outgoing and guarded kind of at the same time, or engaging and guarded. Interesting combination. But the bottom line is he was an incredibly gifted actor who took on those roles of James Brown and Jackie Robinson, and really brought those characters to life in his own way. He embodied them. You could actually see him transform into those characters. So bottom line, he was at the top of the list as far as I'm concerned, and most others. As a matter of fact, I understand it was his performance as Jackie Robinson that won him the role for King T'Challa. It was written for. They chose him because of that. He didn't have to audition. They saw what he did with Jackie Robinson and said, "That's King T'Challa."
Well, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. And of course, when he then moved into that role, I suppose what made him stand out was the fact that he worked so hard to make a black superhero in Black Panther soar above the stereotypes and the narrative of how black people are seen on the screen.
You know, I can only imagine. At this point, I'm not sure another actor could have done that. He really understood what he was getting himself into, and I think he was prepared. There was something about his background and his education that prepared him for that role. That it's at this point, it's hard to see another actor embodying that role, at least before him. Now he's sort of like set the mold. So if they choose to replace him with another King T'Challa in the upcoming sequel, it's going to be very, very interesting.
That's a good point. And I think the other thing that you pointed out there, sort of in passing, was the fact that he seemed to be a very strong person. I mean, here he was willing to suffer in silence, having been diagnosed with cancer, just to make sure that Black Panther made it to the top. I mean, that speaks volumes about his strength, doesn't it?
Oh, God. I don't know if I can even put it in words because it's right out there for us to see. I mean, in a lot of ways, that's the embodiment of a hero. To be literally suffering like that, if not maybe physically in the beginning, but certainly mentally, to know what he was going through and to still be able to pull off that performance and follow-up performances and just go through life knowing what he was dealing with and carrying his head high and still encouraging other people and influencing other people on a positive level. That's a hell of a guy. I mean, he's a hero in my book, no doubt.
Certainly in my book as well. I mean, and I know a lot of people, I mean, we've been talking about him here on Arise News all weekend, and I know many people can't really fathom how he could have put so much energy into all of those roles beyond just Black Panther while he was having that cancer treatment. And no one on the set knew that he was going through that, even though I understand there was a lot of speculation about whether he was sick.
Well, you know, we were. I'm sorry. That's interesting because I never heard any strong speculation about him being sick. Interestingly, we carried stories. We ran photos of him when he was seen not looking well, but I don't recall. At least I don't recall anybody, you know, on social media commenting that he may be sick, or at least I put it this way, cancer. I never even saw that and never even thought that. It was interesting. Like when I saw those photos, I never thought that he was sick. I just thought maybe he was losing weight because, you know, he's an actor and they lose weight or doing something, but it never entered my mind, I guess, because he was still doing things and he still seemed so active. And so it just, I don't know. And I really never heard any kind of scuttlebutt about him being sick, and certainly not about him having cancer. So I never heard it. Maybe there were whispers here and there, but it never got to print level as far as I'm aware of.
I guess it might have been perhaps a little easier a little more difficult to hide from the people that you're on a set with, you know, as opposed to the rest of us who are sort of on the outside looking in. But just going beyond that to look a bit at his background, I understand he grew up in South Carolina and started out wanting to act and direct, to direct, not act, actually. And apparently his first play script came out when a member of the basketball team he played for was shot. So a bit of trauma there as well.
Well, you know, I didn't know that. Now, so you're telling me something I wasn't aware of. So I'm like, what? I didn't know that. So I'm not sure how to react to that. But then again, I guess I'm not surprised because there was something about this guy that prepared him to take it up to the next level. That's sort of like his story. When you look at it, he just seems to he was always ready one way or another. And it's just, you know, it's kind of cruel in a way or maybe it's not in a way. It's just you can really see it as being cruel that his life was cut short, but we never know what the Lord has in mind. But 43, my God, I'm not happy about that, to be perfectly honest. So.
Yes, I mean, I think that's what makes it really painful. You know, a life cut short at the age of 43. I mean, you know, that's really when his life should have been beginning. I mean, but then on the other hand, he did so much in that short period, didn't he?
Yeah. I was just thinking that same thing. What he got accomplished, a lot of guys my age haven't even accomplished. So he did get a lot done in a short amount of time. So, I mean, imagine the trajectory that he was on, what he could have achieved as an actor, a thespian, as a director, and who knows, as a writer, and even as an activist. So who knows what kind of future that young man could have had.
And that's a good point you raised there, because there's another aspect of him to do with activism. I'd like to ask you to stay with us, Lee. Thank you very much indeed for your patience, because I want to talk some more about this when we come back. You're watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead as we continue our reflection on the life of the African-American actor Chadwick Boseman, who has died at the age of 43. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Arise interview. I'm Charles Anyegolu, and tributes are continuing to be paid to the African-American actor Chadwick Boseman, star of the groundbreaking movie Black Panther, whose death at the age of just 43 was announced in Los Angeles on Friday. Chadwick died at home, his life cut short by colon cancer, which had been diagnosed in 2018. But it was also at the start of 2018 that the huge worldwide release of the movie Black Panther finally made Mr. Boseman an international star in his serious-minded role as the ruler of the imaginary and wealthy African nation Wakanda. But he was also the star of Get On Up, playing a very convincing James Brown. We'll reflect some more on the life of Chadwick Boseman in a moment. But first, here's a look at the trailer of Get On Up, in which Mr. Boseman starred as James Brown. Lee Bailey, founder of the Electronic Urban Report, which covers African-American news in the US, and is himself a noted broadcaster, is still with me via WebEx from Los Angeles. Thank you very much indeed for staying with us. And you were talking before we went on break about the other things he did away from filming. I understand he put his energies into a lot of causes, including volunteering to work with cancer patients, even though he himself was suffering from cancer. And also, I think he worked to eradicate poverty around the world, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Like I said, he was a special young man that well, again, was taken too soon, as far as I'm concerned, but apparently not as far as the Lord is concerned, because we have no idea of why or what he had in mind for the young man. But yeah, you know, while he was along with dealing with his own issue of cancer, he made it a point to visit hospitals and encourage youngsters and give them hope and faith, and so that's the kind of person that he was, and he reveled in his blackness also, and again we saw that come out in the films that he did. He understood his blackness, so just an incredible actor, and again taken too soon. But you know, Denzel Washington saw what he had. He didn't even know the young man, but he paid for a number of his acting lessons, because he saw something, and he knew something was going on, and he wanted to make sure the world saw it. So we need to thank Denzel, I think, for helping this young man achieve what he did.
And in addition to all that, I understand he cared a lot about Africa and giving back to the continent and so on. So on many levels, a very compassionate man.
Oh, well, no doubt. Now, I can't speak honestly on his contributions or his involvement with Africa, so I don't want to go off and try to pretend like I know that aspect of it. But again, based on what I saw of him with my own eyes and what I was able to learn about him, again, just a special young man that I hate to keep repeating it, but I just don't. I'm just, I just hate the fact that he left this world too soon, as far as I'm concerned.
And I mean, from a slightly more political point of view, I mean, do you? I mean, he played James Brown. He played Thurgood Marshall. The first black justice of the Supreme Court. He played Jackie Robinson, and of course Black Panther, and so on. Do you think he chose those characters because you could say that playing them was such a message in these times of protests in the United States on black issues?
Well, I can't. We'll put it this way. On the one hand, yes, because we've always, in the U.S., we've always had these issues of racism. So they to play those characters have they were timely at the time they were made. I mean, the Jackie Robinson story, of course, is monumental. It needed to be told. The James Brown story as well, and the Thurgood Marshall. He just had a good sense of the kinds of characters I guess he wanted to play, and when he decided to play them, he went all in. as far as I'm concerned, because the clip you showed of the James Brown movie, he was sensational in that movie. Now, personally, the movie didn't overall. It had a lot of flaws. I think because of the writing and directing, but certainly not the performance. I mean, his performance was like the bomb diggity, as we say or used to say back in the day. His performance was just incredible. So he, as you can see in all of his roles, even his newest movie is 21 Bridges, and he did the 5 something with Spike Lee, and that was like at the height. Both of those 2 movies were recently when he was really suffering from the cancer. And again, if you didn't know, and nobody knew, but that's the kind of actor that he was. He went all in and embodied the character. So that's a bad dude.
Lee, we're almost out of time. We've got about 10 seconds or so. So just very, very briefly, what do you think he leaves for the next generation of aspiring black actors?
Well, he he raised the bar, let's put it that way. But he also set the blueprint. He's an example that will live on forever. All you have to do is look at his work and be inspired.
Lee, I want to thank you very much indeed. I mean, your words are hugely appreciated, and I'm sure Mr. Boseman will also appreciate them. Thank you very much indeed. And Lee Bailey is the founder of the Electronic Urban Report, which covers African American news in the US. He joined me then via WebEx from Los Angeles. That's it for this edition of the Arise interview. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja and the United States, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.